Well, hi everybody. My name's Ryan, and I'm really excited to be presenting DocFox to you today. So, you know, where we came through DocFox was about 6 years ago. We were working with some global banks, and we recognized the issue of onboarding business and complex accounts. And the challenge that we found was that, and the reason that it had not been automated, is that every business is typically very different, right? They're highly variable, and especially when we get into more complex, high risk, and commercial banking every single type of account is nuanced, right? Unique shareholding structures, unique document types, and it was pretty hard to automate and streamline, and so it was very painful. And so that's what we've been doing. That's what we focus on in terms of streamlining and creating great experiences. And so today, we're used by over 250 banks and other fintechs to streamline and create incredible onboarding experiences for business accounts. Now, the one thing for us that was really important was that we needed to be able to help our clients to open accounts for the most complex and most simple. And so one of our key focuses was making sure that we could work with everyone from the most complex, hairy international offshore structure all the way through to your stock standard, Delaware LLC with an individual as a shareholder. And that's really been our key focus. Okay, so what's the problem here is really that we found that outdated account opening when it comes to business and corporate clients, treasury management clients, um, we find is really costly, right? So not only is it a pretty horrible experience for clients, but frankly, often more of the impact is actually felt at the banking team side of things. So a lot of our clients have said, post using DocFox, they've suddenly realized that sometimes over half of their banker's time was wasted on admin. So when you think about, how do you open up a treasury account? What does commercial account opening look like at the moment? Um, you know, Often if you had to analyze it, one of the things that I think people find is that there's a huge amount of time spent on just very intensive manual effort. So things like emails back and forth to clients, communication between a BSA and the banker, underwriting coming through. So just huge amounts of back and forth around incorrect documentation being submitted, and frankly, that is time that we want our bankers rather spending with their clients and growing our business. So how do we solve this? So there's really two sides to the solution. The one is the client or banker portal. The other would be the banks. Now, when we thought about how do these clients want to open up accounts, they're often complex accounts, but frankly, there isn't one way, right? So some folks want to come into the branch, bring in, some good old-fashioned physical documents and shake your hand. But what we also have on the other side of the spectrum is folks that are much more modern who are saying, hey, we want to do this online. We want to be able to engage online. Now, we typically find in the corporate banking space that few folks are wanting to do it completely online. They still want that relationship, but they don't want admin. They want to be able to streamline that, and that's what we've built over there so that it can be done in branch or over the phone online. And then we've got our bankers portal. Now, one of the unique things about DocFox is that we can actually analyze any type of document. Now, when I say any, I mean anything from a commercial resolution, a handwritten lease agreement, or a trust deed. We can actually analyze that document for qualitative checks, make sure it's accurate, and extract information and run comparisons. And that means that we handle all exception management. So there's never a case where the bank needs to go in because DocFox couldn't analyze it. Okay, so let's run through how this actually works. So the example I'm going to start off with today is to show you what happens in a simple case where a banker has lunch with a prospect and the prospect says, hey, I want to go ahead and open up an account. Banker goes into DocFox, types up a custom message to that prospective client and initiates an invitation to that client. Now, the next screen that you're going to see is going to be the prospect opening up their phone to an email from this banker that's been generated, right, to kick off the process. So over here, they get an email from a fictitious bank called Nomad Bank. Here is where they then get started with opening up an account. They put in their text message and they can start filling out their information. Now, this could be done on a mobile phone or a desktop. It's totally responsive. And what's important here is that all the forms and information are dynamic. So we create custom workflows for every different type of account or client type you have, as opposed to just a generic kind of process. Now, in this case, when they fill out the ownership, we're just going to show you a rapid SMB account opening here. So we're going to go and verify this individual. We're going to run a whole bunch of fraud checks as well. But what's important is that if you had a complex entity, think about one with multiple related parties. Think about treasury accounts where you've got multiple individuals. DocFox can actually then send out those invitations that go out to all of the connected parties on the account to actually make sure that everybody can submit their invitation individually so that we can deal with accounts of any type of complexity. At this stage, the prospect can then go ahead and upload a business license or any other documentation for the business account. Now, just a little sneak peek here. This license is actually expired. I want to do this because I want to illustrate how DocFox is actually analyzing these documents. So over here, if a client is submitting their information at 7 p.m. at night at their desk, you're going to give them feedback right away. They don't have to wait for the bank to come online in the morning. And this is part of the way that we're really taking a whole bunch of that manual admin and automating it away. Now, if you want to do your disclosures digitally, we can have them right here and we can have them accept them digitally, having verified their identity. And from their perspective, they're not done. So this was for a simple SMB, and that can cater to kind of any kind of complex entity. So let's go see what the banker could do. Now, we don't have time to go to this in too much detail, but just to give you a sense, what we've done here in the portal is we've enabled the bank to only have to focus on the issues. So here we will flag to say, hey, we've set up all your rules. And over here, there's an issue between, for example, the business address information for what we have and what we can get from third parties. Is that a concern? We would then, for example, tell you, hey, we've compared all the documentation and there seems to be a discrepancy, between a corporate resolution and maybe information we have on file. And finally, we've got really detailed audit trails of everything that's happening. So when it comes to examinations, you've got everything covered. So that's just a tiny sneak peek of some of the functionality. It's a lot richer than that in terms of, especially when we talk about commercial accounts. And so, the last point that I just want to mention is around integration. And so, finally, the question is, hey, well, how do we deal with integration? So we've actually built an enterprise service bus layer, essentially an integration layer, so that we can plug this into all of your required different systems. But we can also go live with DocFox in a matter of weeks, which a lot of folks will do in terms of, some of their high risk or kind of complex divisions. So I want to thank everybody, for your time and thank the ICBA as well. And feel free to reach out if we can set up a follow-on call.